Welcome to week 3 of September's topic of discerning what's true for you. Today we're going to talk about radical trust. So for most people, radical trust means just that, radical. Trusting beyond what makes sense, trusting beyond the comfort zone, trusting beyond what's familiar. And that means really growing our trust muscles. So I want to speak to radical trust for a moment in terms of a movie I saw. And there's so many movies out there with great examples of the hero demonstrating radical trust. I want to point to the movie Evan Almighty, if you've ever seen it. If you haven't, I highly recommend it. In this movie, the main character is being spoken to by God and being asked to build an ark, and against all odds to have radical trust that the ark is needed and there's a reason for it. And this main character, named Evan, had to stand in the face of his wife and children, who thought he was nuts after a while and left him, who got evicted from his job and his work because he kept having to follow the message that he kept getting from within, and chose radical trust, that the message was purposeful, that there was a reason for it, and that everything he was being told was going to happen. Now, we're not all Evan Almighties, and we don't all experience the voice of God or the universe or creator or spirit talking directly to us. Some of us do, some of us don't, and I guess it also depends on the mood and the time of the day. So what does radical trust mean for us in terms of discerning what's true for ourselves? What's true for you? A little example from my life. For me, radical trust was when I chose to remain single for 10 years because, as I like to say, I just had a bad man picker. I don't know, I kept drawing the same guy to me in different bodies, no offense. I was just working out some issues. And one day in meditation, it was put to me from my within that I needed to get off the fence. I was either going to trust that this idea and this impression of this man who kept coming to me in dreams and in my meditations was real. And that if I was willing to get off the fence and stop being undecided about whether I wanted to be in a relationship or not, that I would see what the result was. But either way, either close the door and never mind, or open the door and welcome him in. So I took about 3 days to be with that invitation from within. And on the third day, I thought, you know what? If it's possible that I could have a relationship that really, really naturally, easily suits me, that we're lined up organically by the nature of who we are, and it could be rewarding and fulfilling and easy and fun and collaborative and co-creative, you know, I'm a yes. Why not? Why not have radical trust that this is not just a fantasy in my mind, that the person who keeps coming to me in my dreams, that it's not just a dream, that this is possibly a really true, real life person. So I put it out to the universe and I said, I'm a yes. I'm going to have radical trust that this man exists and that this is true. But I put a caveat in it. And I said, I'm not going to lift a finger to find him at all. I'm going to stay in the feminine. I'm going to stay receptive. And if you want us together, you send him to me. You have him find me. And then I let go. And long story short, we're now due to get married next year. When that was put to me, to trust or not, to make a decision without any evidence that what I was going to have trust in could become true, that was radical trust for me. Because I was quite comfortable being single, and I knew that I could go through the rest of my life single quite comfortably. And so that's an example of radical trust. So where in your life are you wondering if something can manifest according to your intentions? If something will work out the way that you're hoping it will? Or if you're intending something and you're adding for the highest good for everyone, everywhere, myself included, can you have the radical trust that whatever the result ends up being, it is in alignment for the highest good for you and everybody everywhere all at once? Radical trust. I challenge you to take this next week and peek into your life and see, where are you holding on to control? Where are you unwilling to believe that something can happen where it looks like nothing can happen? And again, I pointed this out in our last video last week. We're not about controlling other people. We don't really have any control over anything, let alone other people. What we can do is choose to consciously create with the universe. And THEA is really big on using clear intentions to help bring forth what we want. And I could probably stand here for hours telling you my whole life story and every single thing that manifested when I remained clear and open and receptive to whatever version of what I was asking for that creation would hand me, knowing it was for the highest good for myself and everyone else included. Radical trust. Look into your life, see where you're holding on, see where you're attached to certain results, and I invite and challenge you to do a week-long experiment with radical trust. That could be done simply, maybe. Maybe you've tried to cook something several times and it's never worked out well. Give it another go. Have an intention that you have an epiphany or an insight, and somehow this time the recipe works out. Start with small things, go to medium-sized things, and then if you feel like it, take on a big-ticket item. Radical trust is really important for us because the world is in a real big rebirth of consciousness, as you know, and it's a challenge to have discernment to know who or what to believe. So establishing that radical trust inside yourself always gives you a home base to come home to. That's really important for us in the world today. And if we want to help give birth to a conscious collective of humanity over the next 10 years, we're going to need some radical trust with ourselves so we know how to navigate, we know how to make healthy choices, we know how to take care of ourselves, and we know how to contribute to this world. All of that is high value. Tune in on Thursday at 7 Mountain Standard Time on Facebook for THEA Guides for Embodied Ascension on the private Facebook group. And we'll talk about your experiences with radical trust there this coming Thursday. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for allowing me to learn alongside you as THEA, the Guides for Embodied Ascension, teaches us all together, and be well.